My goals in school, before I played with Miles, was I wanted to play with Elvin Jones. I wanted to play with Buddy Rich Big Band or Woody Herman Band or um, different guys in the jazz world. But Miles was not an option just because he wasn't performing then. I had the opportunity in 1973 in Chicago, where I'm from, to hear Miles, and I didn't feel like going down and seeing him because I was more interested in the very straight ahead mainstream jazz that he was playing, and he was playing the electric stuff. I wish I would have gone down and seen him. So no, so it was, but when I went from college to Miles, but you're preparing your whole life for that. As I'm learning jazz as a kid, you're practicing hard, you're preparing, so hopefully when that opportunity comes, you're ready. So it's not, of course it's a big step, but I think fortunately enough I spent a lot of time coming up trying to play as good as I could so that if the opportunity came up at that time, I'd be able to do it. It's always a challenge to get new music out into the world. And I'm always creating new stuff. I've always had new bands. I had a soul grass band for 10, 11 years up until recently, and where we're taking a break, where I incorporated music from bluegrass world, like acoustic guitar, violin, banjo, and that's always a challenge for people. For me, it's normal, but I've always had different kinds of music. That's what inspires me, and that was an influence that Miles gave to me, was to be inspired by creating something new that you actually really, really do like yourself. That's why I stay in music, because that stuff inspires me. So that's, I would say, would be one of the biggest challenges. But it's a good challenge because it keeps the music fresh. I don't know any other way to do it. I'm a dedicated artist. Play my own melodies. Yeah. Well, the saxophone has remained the same just because I try to get better all the time. But it's still the same mouthpiece, the same horn. So I'd say the changes have been in the music in my bands. Because I started off with soul, funk, and hip hop. And then that went to acoustic groove, which was acoustic funk. It's always been my own songs with that sort of style, but my own way. Because I'm never an expert in anybody else's music, but I just use it as an influence. And then soulgrass was the next step, which was Americana music blended in with jazz influence. And so I'm always just using different kinds of music and putting them together and coming up with something that comes from me that hopefully people like. I love to paint. I love to do watercolors. I spend a lot of time doing that. I love to play golf. I love to go fishing. I love to exercise. More acceptance of musicians who are trying to do things that are innovative.
And what is innovative in your understanding?
Playing music that's coming from an unknown source, unknown territory, something that's new and fresh that maybe people haven't heard before, but they like. I've had a lot of people come up and tell me it's my different bands. I don't know what your music is, but I like it. Or they'll say, I don't like jazz, but I like your music. Well, we're playing a version of jazz. We're jazz musicians. As a jazz musician, I'm playing all different kinds of music that I write. But I'm a jazz musician at heart. That's what I do. It's the same saxophone. It's the same guy, just different music that I play. Who would I like to collaborate with and do some music with? I would say maybe Keith Jarrett. I'm working on a new band that I call this Bill Evans and the Spy Killers. It's a crazy name. And we just did a live record in Australia that's coming out next week. It's got a young piano player named Simon Oslender, phenomenal player. He's 20 years old. Wolfgang Hofner is the drummer, and Gary Granger is the bass player. And that's what's happening right now. It's organ, saxophone, and I sing. And I also play piano and sing.
Wow.
And it's a kind of a fresh new sound, sort of groove funky groove, sort of different. That's what I'm doing right now. I would say maybe the Dave Matthews Band. It's a rock band. It's called Dave Matthews Band. Or there's a band called Humphreys McGee, which is an instrumental vocal band in the States, completely different than jazz. I would say that for now.
Do you listen to any pop music?
Yeah, I listen to pop music all the time. Not anymore. I listen to a lot of R&B singers, a lot of soul singers, a lot of rock singers. I did a record 2 years ago called Rise Above, and I used a different singer on each song. Guys by the name of Greg Allman from the Allman Brothers. He passed away recently. Maybe names you don't know: Warren Haynes, Anders Osborne, J.J. Gray. Great rock singers, soul rock singers. And we wrote a song together, each one of us, and I put a record out. I like guys like that. That's what I listen to.